the big question now coming out of this is now the future of the Celtics and what to do. Jason Tatum is locked in for another couple of years.
Yep.
He can get an extension in 2 years, a massive extension at $300 million plus. Jaylen Brown has another year on his contract. Obviously, he officially applies for the Supermax because he did make All NBA this year.
Yep.
I guess the question is this, though. First off, because it's Jaylen Brown's complicated because if you read the tea leaves most of the year, you would think that he doesn't want to be in Boston. I don't think he's a fan of the city. I think he also wants to play closer to home, which is in Georgia and all that. But the one thing that Boston does have leverage-wise to keep him is to offer him that Supermax. He can make more $80 million, $100 million more than another team can offer him.
Yep.
But that being said, and especially, I hate to say this now, especially coming off this loss and how bad he was in Game 7, 8 turnovers and 19 points, and was it 5 from 20-something from the field, something like that? Does Boston even want to pay the max for him to keep him? And should they? I don't know.
Well, short answer is yes. I think they do want to keep him, and I think they will, ultimately. With that being said, Brad Stevens, over the past year and a half or 2 years that he has been the GM, has shown that he's not afraid to make deals. Now, granted, he hasn't made a quote-unquote huge deal. I mean, he traded Kemba Walker for Al Horford. That was one distressed asset for a guy who was considered a distressed asset as well in Horford. But Horford came back to Boston, and he's brought nothing but life back to the
good
team.
Moments. Yeah, absolutely. It's been good.
And to his career. So, I mean, other than that, but I mean, he's pulled the trigger. I think that getting back to more of what I was saying earlier, like I said, people want to talk about Brown and Tatum's relationship. I think those guys get along just fine. I don't think they're best friends. I don't think that they're going out to dinner together after games every night, right?
Nor do they need to. Do you think Jordan Pippen did that?
No, they don't. But I think that they can coexist perfectly well and be very good teammates together. I think getting back to the personalities in there is where Jaylen Brown might have been trying to be like a quiet leader, and those guys like Smart, particularly Smart, you can say Grant Williams too, but kind of got in the way of that. And I think that what Jaylen Brown would like to see the Celtics do is mix some of that situation up a little bit. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded Marcus Smart. I really would.
So I was looking at the salary cap while we were setting up here.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the one piece, because if you're going to commit to Jaylen Brown long term with that kind of money, and with the new CBA coming into play next year and that second apron, I'm not sure if you studied all that yet, but that the way the new CBA works is going to be virtually impossible to basically put it this way: the era of super teams are over. Basically, you can have 2 stars and that's it. Right, and
the league doesn't want it anymore.
Right, and to be honest, it's good for the league in terms of like parity and all that. You're seeing that now. My thing is this with Boston. This is my opinion, and I'll ask you this: I don't think they have a choice, but it's just to sign Jaylen Brown, because first off, unless you're trading him for another big asset, i.e. Damian Lillard or another star out there, it's not like guys like Jaylen Brown grow on trees. Like, it's fine to say, let's get rid of Jaylen Brown, but if you get rid of Jaylen Brown and don't have another star near his caliber to replace him, you're not getting better. Like, as good as Jason Tatum is, you're not getting better. I see the thing is this combination. Yeah, it's Brown and Tatum to me are a little bit redundant because they do the same thing, but it has worked. They've gone to 5 East Conference Finals in 6 years?
Yeah,
or 7 years. Mm-hmm. They are in the conversation. I think people don't understand that there's still value in being in the conversation.
Of course. And there's a couple things I'll bring up with that being said. There's one player in the league that if you're going to trade Jaylen Brown for, that would get and who would actually help and improve the team, it would be Damian Lillard.
Yeah.
That's the only guy, in my opinion, I would pull the trigger for. Okay? I don't think that'll happen. So my next opinion would be to just run it back, all right, and then get Joe Mazzulla, maybe an experienced assistant coach.
Yeah.
Or 2 to help him out. That's the other thing. Now, getting back to my first point with some of the players that were coming up on Boston Sports Radio today, there were guys like Trae Young, Zach LaVine. No, come on. Those guys, I take Jaylen Brown over Trae Young any day.
I would too.
I would take Jaylen Brown over Zach LaVine.
I mean, Jaylen Brown's a two-way player, first off.
Of course he is. Like I said, if they could put the right deal together, that maybe they trade Brown and Brogdon to Portland for Damian Lillard, I could live with that. That I would think is I would consider to be a good deal, but I don't think that'll happen. My personal thing is I think they're going to sign Jaylen Brown to Supermax because you're right. The league doesn't want this anymore. They don't want super teams. They want a superstar on each team in some way, shape, or form. And they don't want guys saying, "Oh, I'm going to go to LA and then I'm going to bring Kyrie with me and I'm going to bring Anthony Davis with me." They don't want that anymore. No. They don't want that. So I think that they'll re-sign Jaylen Brown. They're going to run it back. I think they'll run it back for a couple of years because another point is people like to talk. One of the things is people like to talk about, that's one of the things today. This guy doesn't have the heart that KG has and that Paul Pierce has and that Larry Bird has. All right. So I'm going to argue with that, okay? KG never won till he came here and he teamed up with Paul Pierce and Ray Allen.
Right.
Paul Pierce never won until he teamed up with KG and Ray Allen. Ray Allen never won until he teamed up with those two guys.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And not just that, guys like Steph, guys like Jordan, guys like LeBron, guys like Shaq. These guys didn't win till they were 27, 28 years old.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Shaq didn't win by himself either. He had Dwayne Wade.
Yeah, right.
Now, and if I remember correctly, that first Heat championship with Shaq, that was what? Was that Dwayne Wade's first or second year?
That's his third year.
His third year.
Yeah.
Dwayne Wade was the man in that series. He was that was like the Dwayne Wade coming out extravaganza. Back then. That was remarkable. So they put so much pressure on Jaylen and Jason here because they've been in the league since they were 18, 19 years old. They've been together for 5-6 years now. So the argument is, when did they stop becoming young? And my argument to that is, when did Jordan stop becoming young? When did Steph stop becoming young? When they got older and they started to mature and maybe realize what they had to do to win a championship. Okay? These guys are young. They're coming out of college. They're playing 1 year of college. They're coming from high school programs where they basically do whatever they want and they dominate. It takes a while.
But I think what it is too also, this is a double-edged sword here too, especially, and I get the frustration as a Celtic fan. First year to play together as a tandem, they're literally a game away from the NBA Finals. First year, team's rookie year. They take LeBron 7 games.
I mean, people forget that Jason Tatum's rookie year was also the Al Horford, Gordon Hayward, Kyrie Irving,
all gone,
right?
Were they all healthy? All gone? Were they all hurt?
No, that was the year. Jaylen Brown was in year 2. Tatum was coming off the bench.
Right.
Tatum was coming off the bench for about 2 minutes until Kyrie threw that alley-oop up to Gordon Hayward. Jay Crowder undercut him, and that was the end of Gordon Hayward's career.
That's right. Yes.
So, but that was Jason Tatum's rookie year. Yeah. So the plan was sign Horford, sign Hayward. They traded for Kyrie the same year. They were also able to draft Jaylen Brown the year before. They drafted Jason Tatum by fleecing the Philadelphia 76ers in probably the most one-sided trade in NBA history.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Right?
Trust the process.
Mm-hmm. And the idea was let Kyrie and Hayward and Horford have their run, and by the time Hayward ends up, Brown will be ready to be re-signed. By the time Horford's up, then you get Tatum ready to be re-signed. You still got Smart. The team was set up for success for a long time. And they are very well set up for success.
But it's too also Tatum and Brown got elevated a lot faster than I think they even thought. They tasted success so early that now we're 6 years into this process, and it hasn't had any. Well, here's the thing: they've gone to again 4 or 5 conference championships in that
Yep.
span. Okay, 1 NBA Finals. So to say it's not a success is ludicrous. I think it is a success. I think it's you have to look at it, from a broad perspective. You can't win a championship every year in the league. It's hard to win. I mean, you're seeing that now. But I do think, like, you look at it in terms of who has prevailed. Like, I just don't think Boston has a choice here, but to like offer him super max, because that's number one. If you believe Brown's going to leave and you want him to stay, that's the only leverage you have, and you have to use it.
Yeah. So this is what they have to do. They have to offer to him.
Yeah.
If he says no,
well,
then
let me ask a question. Do you think they will
offer it to him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
But one that he takes is scoring.
But the owners of the Boston Celtics are very, very good owners.
Yeah.
They're very good owners, and they're not overreactors, which is one of the best things about them. I mean, for years they sat there and they let Danny Ainge, not make a trade, and never did anything about it. You know what I mean? So they're not overreactors. They will, I hate to use the term, they're going to trust the process. Brad Stevens has done an excellent job as being a general manager so far.
Yes.
So, I think the key is get Mazzulla a couple of assistants, re-sign Jaylen Brown, see if you can swing something with these role players to try to bring in another good player, if you can. I don't know who that would be. I wouldn't mind more size, maybe another big body, but the contracts, I mean, the salary cap situation isn't good, but the contracts are movable, which is what's always nice about what Brad Stevens has been able to do.
So let's get to that right now. Because I have the salaries in front of me right now for next year. So obviously Tatum and Brown are eating up $60+ million of the cap next year. Of their cap room right now. You have Al Horford at $10 million. You got Brogdon at 22.6. No, sorry, 22.5. Marcus Smart 18.5. Derek White, who had a fantastic series, 18.3. Rob Williams 11.5, which actually is a kind of a value deal right now if he's healthy. Grant Williams is on a qualifying offer. Dude, I wonder if they exercise that or not.
They won't give it to him.
Okay, $6 million.
Nope.
Gallinari is 6.8.
Yeah. So they're not gonna look. They're not gonna. They already offered. The rumor here was they offered Grant Williams 4 years, $60 million. He turned it down because he wanted $80 million. And I think I actually think that rubbed the team the wrong way.
I don't know. I think the cap will be at 155, 160 next year. Going to next year, we will know in a couple of weeks when they release the numbers officially. Yep. Boston will be at approximately 158.
So they don't have much room.
No, they're one of those teams that are like nudged up, and it's important too to talk about this too because of the fact that again that's the new CBA, the second apron. Which is going to make it harder, they double penalize, teams for being over the cap at that point. And once you start paying Jaylen Brown that you commit to him to that $295 5 years, that's going to nudge you over that cap room. Now I believe there are some good pieces here. You can probably look into trading. I think Marcus Smart, as good as he's been, the best player of the year last year, certainly one of the heart and soul of that team. He's an asset you can look into probably moving in the near future. Brogdon also too. The both guys are still fairly in the prime of their careers. You look at Brogdon and Smart; those are two guys you could look at. I mean, Derek White, that's another sizable contract. I'm not saying trade him, but I will say Derek White's value right now is a lot higher than it was, say, a year ago.
I don't think they would trade Derek White, to be honest.
I don't think so either.
I think they like him.
No, and I agree with that, and I think that he's a great swingman. But I'm saying if you're looking to clear up some relief and to maybe get another star, another big player, those are the options you have there, honestly. So they do have some decent assets here to move forward with, like in terms of playing chess, whatnot.
We'll see. I mean,